The forest fire alarm pierced through the quiet evening like a needle through silk, dragging Marcus from his microscope and the delicate fern specimens he'd been cataloging. He rushed outside his research station, expecting to see orange flames, licking at the pine canopy, but instead found something far more impossible. A metallic pod, no larger than a small car, had carved a burning scar through the forest floor before coming to rest against an ancient oak. Steam hissed from its cracked hull, and strange symbols glowed faintly along what appeared to be seams in the metal. Marcus approached cautiously, his scientific mind warring with his survival instincts. This definitely wasn't standard forestry. Equipment. The pod's surface was warm to the touch and hummed with residual energy. As he circled it, looking for any identifying marks or warnings, a section of the hull suddenly dissolved like morning mist. Inside, surrounded by what looked like crystalline foam, lay the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. But calling her a woman felt inadequate. Her skin held a subtle luminescence, as if starlight had been woven into her very cells. Delicate, almost translucent fins traced the edges of her ears, and her hair cascaded in waves of deep midnight. Blue. She wore what appeared to be a bodysuit made of living metal that shifted and flowed like liquid mercury, but it was torn and damaged, revealing patches of that luminous skin. Marcus reached out hesitantly, then jerked his hand back when she stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, revealing irises like captured galaxies, swirling with silver and gold. She looked at him with a mixture of confusion and wonder, then spoke in. A voice like wind chimes. You? You are the one who pulled me from the void? Her words carried a strange accent, musical and flowing, but somehow he understood her perfectly. Marcus found his voice, though it came out as barely more than a whisper. I didn't pull you from anywhere. You crashed here. Are you hurt? She sat up slowly, the crystalline foam dissolving at her touch. Her gaze never left his face, and something in her expression made his heart race. The prophecy spoke truth, she murmured, reaching up to touch his cheek with fingers that felt like cool silk. When one falls from stars into darkness, the first face seen upon waking shall be that of their destined heart. Marcus blinked, trying to process her words. Destined what now? She smiled, and it was like watching a sunrise. I am Zara of the third moon of Valen. You have found me, therefore you are my intended. The cosmos has woven our fates together. She attempted to stand, but swayed dangerously. Marcus caught her instinctively, and the contact sent an electric shock through his system. Whoa there. Cosmic weaving aside, you need medical attention. Let me help you to my station. As they walked the short distance to his research facility, Zara leaned heavily against him, her damaged suit leaving traces of that strange liquid metal on his clothes. She kept glancing at him with an expression of pure adoration that made him increasingly uncomfortable. So, Marcus ventured as he helped her onto his couch, where exactly is Valen? And what kind of accident brought you here? Zara's expression darkened. Not accident. Exile. My father cast me out for refusing to bond with the heir of a rival house. He said if I would not choose my path, the stars would choose for me. She looked around his modest living space with curiosity. Your dwelling is ... simple, but it radiates warmth. Marcus followed her gaze, seeing his home through alien eyes. The hand-carved bookshelves filled with botanical texts, his collection of pressed flowers in frames, the comfortable reading chair by the window where he watched birds in the morning. It was simple, he supposed, but it was his sanctuary. It's just a research station. I study plant life for the Forestry Service. He paused, still struggling with the impossibility of the situation. Look, Zara, I'm flattered by this whole destined thing, but you don't even know me. I could be terrible. She tilted her head, studying him with those cosmic eyes. Tell me of your terrible deeds. The question caught him off guard. Well, I leave dirty dishes in the sink sometimes. I talk to my plants. I haven't had a successful relationship in 3 years because I prefer books to parties. Zara's laughter was like silver bells. These are the crimes that mark you as terrible? On Valen, such things would mark you as wonderfully eccentric. Despite himself, Marcus found himself smiling. You're not exactly what I expected from an alien visitor. And what did you expect? I don't know, ray guns? Demands to be taken to our leader? Definitely not. He gestured vaguely at her. This? Heat crept up his neck. Beautiful. I didn't expect beautiful. Zara's smile softened, and she reached for his hand. The prophecy also spoke of the destined one's kindness. It said his heart would be gentle as morning rain, his spirit bright as twin suns. That's quite a prophecy. Very specific. The star readers of my people see far and true. She paused, her expression growing vulnerable. Marcus of the research station, I know you did not choose this meeting, but will you allow me to learn? Your ways? If the cosmos truly brought me to you, should we not discover why? Marcus looked into those swirling galaxy eyes and felt something shift in his chest. Maybe it was loneliness. He'd been isolated at the station for 6 months now. Maybe it was the sheer impossibility of the situation, making him feel like he'd stepped into a dream. Or maybe, just maybe, there was something to this cosmic destiny business. All right, he heard himself say, but we do this slowly. And you need proper clothes. That suit of yours looks like it's about to dissolve completely. Zara looked down at her damaged garment and laughed. On Valen, we shape our coverings from pure thought. But I find myself weakened by the journey between stars. Right. Well, on Earth, we use cotton and denim. Much less mystical, but more reliable. Marcus stood up, already forming plans. Tomorrow, we'll figure out getting you some real clothes. Tonight, you rest and recover. As he gathered blankets and pillows for her, Zara watched him with that same adoring expression. Marcus? Yeah? The prophecy spoke of one more thing. It said that when star-crossed hearts find one another, both would be forever changed. Marcus paused in his preparations, blanket in hand. Changed how? Perhaps, Zara said softly, settling into the makeshift bed he'd prepared. We shall discover that together. As Marcus retreated to his own room, he couldn't shake the feeling that his quiet, predictable life had just taken a turn into the extraordinary. Through his bedroom wall, he could hear Zara humming a melody that sounded like distant starlight. And despite every rational thought in his head, he found himself wondering what tomorrow would bring. Outside his window, a meteor shower painted silver streaks across the night sky, as if the cosmos itself was celebrating their meeting. Marcus woke to the sound of something crashing in his kitchen, followed by a string of what sounded like melodic cursing. He stumbled out of bed to find Zara standing amid the wreckage of his coffee maker, her liquid metal suit now reduced to strategic strips that barely preserved her modesty. The firewater machine fought me, she announced with the dignity of someone who hadn't just destroyed a perfectly good appliance. I believe it may be possessed. It's called coffee, and you have to put water in it first. Marcus rubbed his temples, wondering if this was how every morning would start now. And we really need to do something about your clothes situation. Zara looked down at herself with mild interest. My biosuit continues to deteriorate in your atmosphere. On Valen, such garments repair themselves by drawing energy from our twin suns. Right. Well, Earth has one sun, and it's not particularly helpful with alien technology. Marcus pulled out one of his oversized flannel shirts and handed it to her. Here, wear this until we can get you something better. She accepted the shirt, but held it up like a puzzle piece. How does this provide protection? It has no adaptive fibers, no environmental controls. It covers you. That's pretty much the whole point. Zara slipped the shirt over her head, and Marcus had to admit she made flannel look far better than it had any right to. The shirt hung to mid-thigh on her, and she kept tugging at the sleeves with fascination. Your people wrap themselves in plant fiber, she mused. How wonderfully primitive. It has a certain rustic charm. Thanks, I think. Marcus said about making coffee the old-fashioned way, while Zara explored his kitchen like an archaeologist examining ancient artifacts. This cold storage unit, she said, opening his refrigerator, it preserves sustenance through thermal reduction, rather than stasis fields, ingenious in its simplicity. It's a fridge, Zara. Every human has one. She pulled out a carton of milk and sniffed it suspiciously. And this white liquid? Milk from cows. You know, large earth animals that go moo. Her eyes lit up with delight. You domesticated beasts to provide you with their life essence? How charmingly barbaric. Before Marcus could correct her dramatic interpretation, she'd moved on to his spice rack, opening each jar and inhaling deeply. Her expressions ranged from pleasure to confusion, to what looked like mild horror when she encountered the cayenne pepper. Your people season food with ground firestones? They're peppers, and trust me, you don't want to. Too late. Zara had already tasted a pinch of the cayenne. Her eyes went wide. She made a sound like a steam kettle, and then began what could only be described as an alien fire dance around his kitchen. Marcus quickly handed her a glass of milk, which she drained. In one go? Better? Your warrior spices are most potent, she wheezed, but she was grinning. I approve. On Valen, we test our strength against the burning roots of the shadow vine. This is similar, but dot more aggressive. As the morning progressed, Marcus found himself becoming an inadvertent teacher. Zara approached every mundane object with scientific curiosity and mystical interpretation. His toothbrush became an oral purification wand, his shower was a cleansing rain chamber, and his television apparently housed the trapped souls of entertainers. Your people imprison performers in glowing rectangles? She asked, watching a nature documentary with rapt attention. No, those are recordings, like captured images that move. She nodded sagely. Ah, you steal their essence for later viewing. Most efficient. Marcus was beginning to understand that Zara's people viewed the universe through a lens of poetry and mysticism that made everything sound either sacred or slightly sinister. It was charming, if occasionally alarming. He was attempting to explain the concept of indoor plumbing when the sound of a helicopter interrupted them. Marcus's heart sank as he recognized the Forestry Service logo on the approaching aircraft. Elena, he muttered, my colleague. She's a week early. Zara immediately moved to the window, her demeanor shifting from curious to protective. This Elena is a threat? No, she's a friend. But she's going to ask a lot of questions I don't have answers for. The helicopter landed in the clearing beside Marcus's station, and Ilana Vasquez emerged with her usual efficient stride. She was everything Marcus wasn't: outgoing, ambitious, and absolutely convinced that human beings were meant to live in cities, not isolated research stations. She also had a talent for appearing exactly when life got complicated. Marcus, she called out, pulling equipment bags from the helicopter. Hope you're ready for some company. I brought the new soil samples. She stopped dead when Zara appeared in the doorway, wearing nothing but Marcus's flannel shirt. The silence stretched like a taut wire until Elena found her voice. Well, this is unexpected. Marcus felt his face burning. Elena, this is Zara. She's visiting. Elena's tone could have frozen lava. Her dark eyes took in Zara's otherworldly beauty, the strange blue hair, the way she held herself with alien grace. From where, exactly? And why is she wearing your clothes? Zara stepped forward with regal bearing. I am honored to meet a friend of my destined one. I am Zara of Valen, and I have come far to find him. Elena's eyebrows shot up. Destined one? Marcus, what kind of situation have you gotten yourself into out here? It's complicated, Marcus began, but Zara interrupted. Not complicated. Simple. The stars guided me to him when I was cast into the void. We are meant to be joined in the ancient way. Ancient way, Elena repeated slowly. She looked at Marcus with a mixture of concern and exasperation. Marcus, can I speak with you privately? Before Marcus could respond, Zara moved closer to him, her hand finding his arm. The gesture was possessive, protective, and sent an unexpected thrill through him. There are no secrets between destined hearts, Zara declared, her galaxy eyes flashing with something that looked suspiciously like jealousy. Elena caught the gesture, and her expression hardened. Right, of course there aren't. She turned to Marcus. I need to run some equipment checks. We'll talk later. As Elena stalked back toward the helicopter, Zara watched her go with narrowed eyes. She desires you. What? No, Elena and I are just colleagues. Friends. The way she looks at you speaks otherwise. On Valen, such looks precede mating challenges. Mating challenges? Marcus nearly choked on his coffee. Zara, human relationships don't work that way. Then how do they work? The question hung in the air between them, weighted with implications Marcus wasn't ready to explore. How did human relationships work? He'd been asking himself that question for years, usually while watching other people succeed where he'd failed. We get to know each other first. Slowly. We share experiences, learn about each other's hopes and dreams. Sometimes it leads to love. Sometimes it doesn't. Zara tilted her head, studying him with those cosmic eyes. And have you loved before, Marcus of the research station? I thought I had. It didn't work out. Why? A simple question hit deeper than he expected. Because I'm better with plants than people. I like quiet places and simple things. Most people want more excitement than I can offer. Zara's expression softened, and she reached up to touch his cheek. On Valen, we believe that the greatest adventures happen not in distant places, but in the depths of another's heart. Before Marcus could respond to that bit of alien poetry, Elena returned with a tablet and a suspicious expression. So, Zara? She said with forced friendliness, where exactly is Valen? I can't seem to find it on any map. Zara smiled serenely. It circles the binary stars you call Kepler 47. Very distant from this world. Elena's eyes widened. She looked at Marcus, and back at Zara. That's over 1,000 light years away. Indeed. The journey was long and perilous. Marcus, Elena said slowly, I think we need that private conversation now. But as Elena reached for his arm, Zara stepped between them with fluid grace. The air around her seemed to shimmer, and for a moment, Marcus caught a glimpse of something otherworldly and powerful beneath her gentle exterior. My destined one stays with me, Zara said softly, but there was steel in her voice. This is not negotiable. Elena backed up a step, her scientific mind clearly struggling to process what she was seeing. Marcus, what exactly is going on here? Marcus looked between the two women, one representing his old life of careful routine and logical explanations, the other offering something vast and impossible and beautiful. And he realized that somewhere in the last 24 hours, his heart had already made its choice. Elena, he said quietly, I think I'm falling in love with an alien. The drive to town was an adventure in itself. Zara had never been in a car before, and her reactions ranged from wonder to terror as Marcus navigated the winding mountain road. She gripped the door handle with white knuckles while simultaneously trying to touch everything within reach. This metal beast moves without legs, she observed, pressing her face to the window as trees blurred past. Do you control it through telepathy? Steering wheel and pedals, Marcus explained, trying not to laugh at her expression when they hit a pothole. Very low tech compared to your people. I'm sure. Not low tech. Intimate. She turned those galaxy eyes on him. You must trust completely. In your own skill. On Valen, our transport pods are guided by crystalline intelligence. There is no risk, but also no dot-dot connection. Marcus found himself stealing glances at her throughout the drive. She wore his largest flannel shirt as a dress, cinched with one of his belts, and somehow managed to make the makeshift outfit look effortlessly elegant. Her blue hair caught the morning sunlight streaming through the windshield, and every time she smiled at some new wonder outside the window, his heart did something acrobatic. Pine Ridge was hardly a metropolis, just a main street lined with shops that catered to tourists and locals alike. But to Zara, it might as well have been New York City. She stepped out of the car and stood frozen, overwhelmed by the sensory assault of human civilization. So many life patterns, she whispered, watching people walk by, each one burning with unique energy. How do you bear the intensity? You get used to it, Marcus said, though seeing the town through her eyes made him notice things he'd long taken for granted. The way Mrs. Henderson tended her flower boxes with such care. The sound of children playing in the park across the street. The comfortable rhythm of people going about their daily lives. Their first stop was Martinez General Store, where Bob Martinez had been outfitting locals and tourists for 30 years. Bob was the kind of man who remembered everyone's name and never asked uncomfortable questions. Exactly what Marcus needed right now. Marcus! Bob called out as they entered, his weathered face breaking into a smile. Haven't seen you in months. And who's this lovely lady? This is Zara, Marcus said carefully. She's visiting from far away. Needs some clothes. Zara stepped forward and executed what could only be described as a formal bow. Honored Merchant Roberto, I am grateful for your assistance in acquiring proper coverings for this realm. Bob blinked, then grinned. Well, I'll be. You've got yourself a polite one, Marcus. Come on, miss. Let's see what we can do for you. What followed was perhaps the most surreal shopping experience in retail history. Zara approached each garment like an archaeologist examining ancient artifacts. She held up a simple T-shirt and studied it with scientific fascination. Cotton fibers, woven in uniform patterns, she murmured. The construction is remarkably consistent for manual labor. It's machine-made, Bob explained, clearly charmed despite his confusion. Machines that mimic the skill of weavers? Fascinating. Your people create servants from metal and lightning. Bob shot Marcus a questioning look, but Marcus just shrugged. Helplessly. How do you explain that your girlfriend is from another planet without sounding completely insane? The real challenge came when Zara discovered jeans. She held up a pair like they were some kind of puzzle box, turning them this way and that. These leg coverings are most peculiar. The fabric is thick as armor, yet flexible. And these metal fasteners, are they ritual adornments? Those are rivets, Bob said patiently. For reinforcement, jeans are work clothes. Ah, Zara's eyes lit up. Warrior garments, I understand now. She insisted on trying them on, and Marcus waited outside the changing room, trying not to imagine the process. When she emerged, he nearly swallowed his tongue. The jeans fit her perfectly, hugging curves he'd been trying not to notice, and she'd paired them with a simple blue top that somehow made her alien beauty even more striking. How do I appear? She asked, doing a little spin. You look... Marcus cleared his throat. You look human. Almost? You're still the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. That doesn't change with different clothes. Zara's smile could have powered the entire town. Your words warm me like twin sunrise. Bob was loading their purchases into bags when the bell above the door chimed, and Jessica Walsh swept in like a force of nature. Jessica was Pine Ridge's self-appointed social coordinator and unofficial gossip network. She had a talent for appearing wherever interesting things were happening, and an even greater talent for making them awkward. Marcus Chun, she trilled, her sharp eyes immediately locking onto Zara. I heard you had a visitor up at the station. Aren't you going to introduce me to your friend? Jessica, this is Zara. Zara Jessica Walsh. Jessica extended a perfectly manicured hand, but Zara, still unfamiliar with human customs, bowed instead. Greetings, Jessica Walsh. Your aura speaks of great curiosity and boundless energy. Jessica's eyebrows shot up. My aura? How ... interesting. And where are you from, dear? You have such an unusual accent. I come from a place very far from here, Zara replied carefully. Beyond the reach of common travel. Oh, international. How exotic. What country? Marcus could see Zara struggling with the question. Her people probably didn't have countries in any sense Jessica would understand. Before she could answer, he stepped in. She's from a very small community, very isolated. Different customs. But Jessica was like a bloodhound who'd caught a scent. Really? What language do they speak there? It's not like anything I've heard before. To make matters worse, Zara chose that moment to notice Jessica's smartphone, which was buzzing with notifications. Her eyes went wide with alarm. Your communication device is possessed by angry spirits, she exclaimed, backing away from the sound. Jessica stared. Possessed by what now? It's just a phone, Marcus said quickly. Zara's community doesn't use much modern technology. No modern technology? Jessica's eyes gleamed with interest. Like the Amish? But she doesn't look Amish, and that accent is definitely not Pennsylvania. Dutch. Bob, clearly sensing trouble, stepped forward with their bags. All set, folks. You too have a nice day now. But Jessica wasn't done. You know, Zara, you look so familiar. Have we met before? Your features are just so ... distinctive. Zara tilted her head, studying Jessica with the same intensity Jessica was showing her. I do not believe we have encountered each other in this lifetime. Jessica Walsh, perhaps you sense the echo of distant stars. Distant stars, Jessica repeated slowly. Right. Well, it was lovely meeting you. I'm sure we'll be seeing more of each other around town. As they escaped to the car, Marcus could practically feel Jessica's eyes boring into their backs. That went well, he muttered. The curious female suspects something, Zara observed as they drove away. On Valen, such individuals are known as truth-seekers. They can be dangerous to those with secrets. Jessica's dangerous, all right, but mostly to people's privacy. She'll have half the town talking about you by dinner. Will this cause problems for you? Marcus glanced at her, noting the worry in her voice. I don't care what people say, Zara. Let them talk. But even as he said it, he wondered if he was being naive. Pine Ridge was a small town where everyone knew everyone else's business. Strangers were noteworthy, and strange strangers were practically front-page news. How long before someone started asking the kind of questions that couldn't be answered with talk of isolated communities and different customs? Their next stop was the local diner, where Zara encountered her first human restaurant. The concept of choosing from a menu bewildered her initially. You present options for sustenance like a formal treaty negotiation, she said, studying the laminated pages with intense concentration. Just pick something that sounds good, Marcus suggested. But how can I know what sounds good without understanding the cultural significance of each dish? The waitress, a teenager with purple hair and infinite patience, took it all in stride. First time in a diner, honey? First time in many things, Zara admitted. Your establishment radiates warmth and fellowship. It is a place where communities gather to share nourishment and stories. Yeah, pretty much, the girl said with a grin. I like her, Marcus. She's got style. Watching Zara experience a simple cheeseburger was like watching someone discover fire. She approached it methodically, examining each component before taking her first bite. Her expression of pure joy at the taste made several nearby diners smile. The flavors are so bold, she said between bites. On Valen, our food is nutritionally perfect, but quite bland. This has ... personality. Wait until you try dessert, Marcus said, and immediately regretted it when her eyes lit up with anticipation. As they ate, Zara asked countless questions about human culture, social structures, and the meaning behind various customs she'd observed. Her perspective was refreshing and often profound. She saw wonder in things Marcus had long considered mundane and found deep meaning in gestures he'd never thought to analyze. Your people touch hands in greeting, she said, watching other diners. On Valen, we share breath a mingling of life essence. But I think your way is more intimate. Hands reveal so much about a person. She reached across the table and took his hand, her fingers tracing the calluses from his gardening work. These marks tell stories of nurturing growing things. Your hands have brought life into the world. Marcus felt his cheeks warm. They're just calluses, Zara. Nothing is just anything. Every mark on your body is a chapter in the story of who you are. The ride back to the station was quieter, both of them lost in thought. Zara seemed to be processing everything she'd experienced, while Marcus found himself wondering how long this magical interlude could last. Reality had a way of intruding on even the most beautiful dreams. As they pulled up to his station, Zara turned to him with an expression of deep gratitude. Thank you for sharing your world with me today, Marcus. I understand now why the stars guided me to you. Why's that? Because you see wonder in simple things just as I do. You tend gardens in the wilderness and find poetry in plant specimens. We are both seekers of beauty in unexpected places. Before Marcus could respond, she leaned over and pressed her lips to his cheek. The kiss was soft, brief, and sent electricity through his entire nervous system. Tomorrow, she said, her voice barely above a whisper, perhaps you will let me show you something of my world. As they walked toward the station together, bags of new clothes in hand, Marcus realized that somewhere between the general store and the diner, this had stopped being about helping a stranded alien and started being about something much more dangerous and wonderful. He was falling in love with someone from another world, and despite all logic screaming that this could only end in heartbreak, he didn't want it to stop.